Welcome to OpenExO Live on a Tuesday. This is the Tuesday edition, slightly earlier than normal, but fantastic to have you. So thank you so much for joining. I just want to remind you that this is Tuesday and not Thursday. So Kevin Allen will join you on Thursday. It's the long-standing OpenExO live show on a Thursday, and this is a Tuesday. I want to remind you about OpenExO, and our purpose is to transform the world for a better future. And part of this purpose is to assist organizations of all sizes, private and public sector, to transform and thrive in the new economy. So this Tuesday edition of OpenExO Live will showcase OpenExO certified partners. And these certified partners have gone through a coaching certification, they've got experience, and they go day to day, they work with organizations and they take them through the exponential principles. They educate them on the way to do that, and then we feature them on this Tuesday edition of OpenExO Live. So if you have any questions at all for our guest, which I'll introduce you to him now, then please do. Please put a comment in the chat. The harder the better. I know that he likes hard questions, so please put them in the chat. And today our guest, we feature Suman Sasmal, and he's a partner based in India. And his LinkedIn tagline says, "Powered by 10x Mindset, I enable disruptive abilities and help navigate corporate immune systems." So without further ado, I'm going to bring on Suman. Hi, Suman. How are you?
Hey, great. How are you, Lance?
Very, very well. It's fantastic to have you.
Absolutely.
Suman, where am I speaking to you from today?
Well, the beautiful Bangalore in India.
And whereabouts in Bangalore are you? Can you explain your surroundings to those people who haven't been to India before?
Oh, well, it's Bangalore is in the south of India, and I live in south of Bangalore. So south and south, that makes it easy. It's the
South of
Silicon Valley and the startup capital of India. So if that helps.
Fantastic. So Suman, can you give us an overview and like a short overview of your career to date and how you got to where you are today?
Well, that's a challenge. 33 years. So I can give you
Yes.
three options. You want a 30-second, 3-minute, or 3 days?
Well, how does the 30-second option sound?
Oh, beautiful. Absolutely. Go and check my LinkedIn profile. Suman Sasmal, I'm the only one. I can bet you. So you will get all my details.
All right, let's go with the 3-minute version then.
All right. Thanks. I'm just kidding. Okay. Yeah, I mean, graduating out of a business school back in 1987, you tend to be eating, sleeping, and breathing strategy. So also, my decision to join a company or an industry was also supported by some fantastic strategy. So I joined the information technology services industry, but let me tell you the grand strategy behind. So, well, it was not because it was the sunrise industry then coming out of India that time, or neither it was my first love that I loved computers so much and I fell in love with it, or nor that I was passionate about algorithms. But what was it then? Actually, I did a fantastic research, and research had shown that IT companies were having the most beautiful offices in the country because climate conditioned offices were not quite common in India back in 1987. So if you want to work guaranteed in climate conditioned offices with plush interiors, you got to join the IT industry. And jokes apart, 30 years flew by just like that, and it has given me so much. In summary, I would say that my career had kind of three pillars, so to say. The first one, I would say that it was very global in nature. Second, I got to do a whole lot of diverse range of things, so it's very diverse. And third, it was extremely learning centric, a whole lot of learning involved. So let me talk about the global part of it. I got to work actually across 4 continents: Africa's, Americas, Europe, and of course in India, Asia. And that widens your perspective, your culture part, your empathy, and so on. Second, diversity of the functions that are starting from doing a sales role in the US, Americas, and Europe, to running a company based out of London, to doing hardcore software deliveries, running, being a head of global delivery for $1 billion business out of a large company in India called Infosys.
Wow.
Corporate functions like head of quality and running a social foundation for a year, being the South Asia head of it, and so on. So really, variety was the spice of my life.
Mm,
And third, it was extremely learning centric. I mean, each of these variety goes without saying, gave me an opportunity to learn multiple things. And that was incredible. And especially what I'm doing in the last 3 years, because after 30 years, I came out of the corporate world to
mm,
pursue something that I felt was more closer to my heart, something that I wanted to do for a while. And so I am associated with Indian Institute of Management in Bangalore. So there is a fantastic incubator out there called NSL Cell. And I
mhm,
mentor startups and small, medium business out there, especially women business. And the other thing that I do, which you know very well on the OpenExO, where I get to work with the global executives and changing their mindset, how to transform the company, and so on. And
mm,
in these 3 years, it is not that I had to learn so many new things. Of course, I got to learn so many new things, but more than that, the process of unlearning, unpacking the 30 years of what I had deep inside me, it was not an easy process. And that really helped me learn so much. So these are the few things I would say that really defines, in nutshell, my career. And this
mm.
is what I'm doing today. Yeah.
Yeah, I also fell into IT by accident. So I left school and I wondered what I was going to do. And then I saw, maybe I can get into IT. And I used to like playing computer games. So you like the nice offices. I like playing computer games. And so that's how I got into IT as well. But
Yeah.
I've never had a great love for computers. I've never wanted to have the fanciest iPod and the fanciest MacBook and know the algorithms and all that either. I
Yeah.
got into it. And I think we've had quite a similar
Yeah.
career
Yeah.
path, really, actually. So,
Yeah.
Suman, how did you get involved with the exponential concepts? How did you become aware of them?
Well, when I gone independent and I was really unlearning, my focus was really onto the future, how the world is changing, and so on and so forth. So the
Mm,
first stop certainly was Singularity University, and I started, listening to them and so on and so forth, and followed them. And then what we did was, a bunch of us, we actually floated the Bangalore chapter of Singularity University, and this was done the first meeting we have had in the IIM Bangalore campus, and which was very nice. And we kicked off a bunch of activities. And one day it was a serendipity. Salim Ismail, who you know is the, of
mm,
course, our founder and chairman, and the executive founder of, founding director of Singularity, he was passing by Bangalore, and he wanted us to meet him over dinner. And then really the conversation started, and one thing led to the other. And then I gotten in touch with the OpenExO community, and it was such a lovely thing because I went out to Madrid and met with a bunch of the community folks. So I went in for the process and everything else, but I really stayed on with the community, the power of the community, the folks in the community that really make up for what OpenExO stands for and what we do globally and what we are trying to achieve.
mm. Were you a contributor to Exponential Transformation, the book?
Not that book, but actually out of the EXO Sprint Experience, P&G,
Mm,
Procter and Gamble, their global business services, they wrote a book explaining their experience with Sprint. And Tony Saldana, who's the chieftain of that, he wrote a book, and I helped edit that book. So my name is actually there in that book. So that
oh,
was
wow.
a experience because I got a first-hand experience to see the kitchen of how it really works. It was a very
Mm,
first-hand experience. So that was really nice.
sure. So we've gone through a very strange year, 2020, obviously, with
Yeah.
COVID, and both our countries, I'm from South Africa, you from India, we're heavily affected by COVID.
Yeah.
Has that influenced how you're seeing the world at the moment? Or maybe I'll just ask you, how are you seeing the world at the moment? What is your worldview?
Well, I mean, there are two, three views I can give. So
Mm,
first is, and this is a global thing. This is nothing specific to India, honestly. There is a small minority who believes in the utopian future and everything that technology can help, starting from preventing crisis, the pandemic crisis in the future, and so on. And there's a larger majority who is dreading the dystopian future, which of course got accelerated by COVID, but certainly the digital, the technological displacement of labor and stuff like that. So that's one view. The second thing what worries me is a lot is that when I look across the globe and I look across companies who is investing in technology mindlessly, hoping that that's the nirvana, that's kind of the way out. Actually, in my mind, what I say, they are putting a digital scheme over a non-digital body because they're not even relooking at their examining their business model, how it needs to change and so on. So just by putting in money behind digital is just a waste of money in my mind. But what gives me hope, that's the third one, is recently I put up on LinkedIn a survey, and there are two surveys actually. And in the first one, without getting into the details, the result of the first one said that 54%, which is a reasonable majority. I know this is not a large sample size, but it gives me a sense. 54% folks felt that the shelf life of education was 5 years or less. And about 43%, again another majority in my second survey, felt that they would rather go for short-run courses, continuous programs, and so on and so forth, be it from big tech or whatever. Now, what that does to me, or what it says to me, is that people are getting into the continuous learning, the upskilling, the upgrading themselves, and so on and so forth. And if they really get that, I think we should be able to solve any problem whatsoever, because that's a critical thing. Are people becoming learning centric, or is it just float your life in? So yeah, I mean, that's my worldview today, and it's the same everywhere, honestly.
Yeah, I must have learned so much in the last 2 or 3 years, like more than ever before in my entire life. In the last year, I've done certifications through OpenExO and edX and everywhere, and got AWS certified, and you name it, I've done certifications in it. I want to ask you about that though, because continuous education is fine, but how do you use that things that you've learned? Because it's all very well learning about, let's say, 3D printing or exponential technologies or exponential functions. How do you actually put them into practice? Because that's where the benefit comes in, isn't it? That you
No,
really need
actually,
to get experience from it.
yeah. And that's where I believe, that's where my 33 years of gathering multiple dots, and today I'm able to connect them. As I said, I worked across the globe, I worked across functions, and that has given me an ability to look at business, a 360 view of business, a 360 view of people, culture, and empathy, and so on. So at one level, certainly it's the power of the open source tools and processes that OpenExO brings to the table. And it has been proven across a number of Fortune 500 companies. We all know that. But what I am able to do, because of my background and my continuous learning and relearning, hopefully, I'm able to simplify things for the folks that I'm working with. For example, I mean, you got the folks who is going through the sprint, the transformation sprint, to trust the process. Now, how do you gain the trust? First, I have to gain their trust in me, and then once they start trusting me, automatically they start trusting the process. Now, I don't want to overload them with a bunch of jargons or tools and processes and take the shelter of them. Instead, what I do is a little bit simple things. For example, I tell them simple things like, look, over the last donkey's years in the industrial age, we were all looking at a known problem and a known solution. And over the last maybe 10, 15 years, we started looking at known problem and an unknown solution. And now we are looking at what is staring at is an unknown problem and an unknown solution. And how do you deal with that, right? And therefore, we will apply this tool or this process to unpack that. Or I say that, look, if you have to build a new thing altogether, all that you have to look for fundamentally is that how do you access talent? How do you access market? How do you access capital? Now, these are the processes. This is how this framework or attribute helps you in doing that. or when you are trying to balance your transformation with a lot of risk that you have, right? You want to have the benefits of transformation, but it is not without its risk. And therefore, the corporate immune system kicks in. Now, how do I manage that? This is the bunch of things we can do to actually contain the market risk, the execution risk, and the technology risk. And
Sure.
when you really are able to relate to some of the things that we do with some of these simplified things, they are much more comforted, and then the rest happens. So because they have to discard a whole lot of old beliefs, and that's quite stressful. It's not easy. It may sound that it's a 10-week process. Come be my guest and I will take care of you. Well, it is sounds simple, but it's not that simple. It takes a lot of
Mm.
toll on the people who are going through. But I have been extremely careful and empathetic to deal with that emotions and the stress that they go through.
Phew. Suman, there's so much to unpack in what you've just said. But if you look at the comment section, it's the top right of your screen. We've had two, so I'll just ask you them. The first
Okay.
one comes from none other than Kevin Allen himself. So that's the
Okay.
host of the Thursday edition of OpenExO Live, much better presenter than me, Kevin. So he says that he really enjoyed India. He was with you earlier this year or late last year. And he would like to ask you about your 10x Mindset Workshop. What is that? What is the 10x Mindset? Can you give us an overview of the 10x Mindset Workshop?
Well, it is. As I speak, actually, I'm in the middle of running what I call a Be a 10Xer workshop. So I think it packs in a whole lot of meaning. That 10X everyone understands today. It was made famous by Google, and Be a 10Xer, right?
Mm,
It's nothing but actually packing the power of sprint, the 10-week sprint, into a mini sprint kind of an experience, so that people, who really want to understand this and experience this, are able to go through. So it's a kind of a public program. See, normally I have done this for corporates, global companies, and OpenExO. I have basically delivered a whole lot of transformation deals with OpenExO, but this is something I just wanted to experience this in India for a public program. So that's about it.
and how long
Yeah.
is it, the 10x Mindset Workshop? If it's an
Over,
accelerated sprint.
yeah, it's over 5 weekends, 2.5 hours each, Saturday and Sunday, over 5 weekends.
And
So
is it
yeah,
virtual or is it in person?
no in person, nothing. It's all
Nothing,
digital.
nothing. So how many people have you got at the moment?
About a dozen, 12.
Oh, wow. Maybe I missed that. And where are you in the process? You said you're halfway through.
Yeah, about 40% through. Yeah.
40%. And do you have them regularly? Is it quite a few times a year? Or
Well, this format is for the first time. I have run face-to-face physical format before, but
Mhm.
the digital version is over the weekends is for the first time. I will
And
run it.
okay.
Yeah,
So you're doing it this weekend again.
yeah, of course, of course.
And what will be the focus for this weekend?
Well, this weekend they focus on the experimentation, going out of the building and checking out which folks
Ah.
ideas work, and you know what happens there, right? So it's going to
So
be
have they
fun.
have they come up
So
with the ideas already?
yes, they are working on that this week. So the week they work and the weekends I get coach. Yeah.
Super, super. That's fantastic. Now, there's another question from Karina. So, or the
Yeah.
regulars. And I was actually talking to someone in South Africa yesterday, and they said to me, does the exponential model apply to Africa? Do you need to go and change the exponential model because it's Africa and not Europe or America or India or APAC or any of those type? And that's Karina's question. What are the most important cultural differences you noticed regarding EXO mindset? So it's a different question to me. Maybe I'll ask you my question. Is the EXO model universal? Does it apply to everyone to grow exponentially? And how have you seen the EXO mindset adoption in different parts of the world?
The model is universal. That's my take. I don't think there is any change to that. But the beauty of the model is it's open source. So therefore, I keep adding layers and modifying layers, suiting the needs of the particular audience. So I
Mm,
have to make changes on the fly. After I mean, nothing is like, it's like ready made. It's a cookie cutter. After my first week, I would certainly tailor my second week because I've known my audience by then. So,
Mm,
so to be very fair to the audience, the culture, the baggage, the mindset that they come with, if you have to make sure they understand this. For example, just to make sure that, so we all say that it's all about changing the mindset, right? So in
mm,
order to, if I just say that in some context, it may not simply work. So in that sense, I go an additional mile to explain how do people learn, how do people change learning. I go to the neuroscience part of it and explain, and then people are able to relate to it and so on. So
wow.
it's very different. And Karina, thanks for posing that question. I mean, of course, there is a difference. See, I mean, at one hand, if I really look at, I am working with most of the companies in India or the people who are reasonably globally exposed and they deal with
Mm,
global business. They're part of the multinationals and so on and so forth. So, in that sense, I have really operated with culture aligned from a business perspective, the folks. Personality may be a little different. So it was reasonably easy from that perspective to align with them. But if we really work for folks who work for the India markets, Indian people, and so on and so forth, it would be a little different. And in India, what happens is, okay, show me something how it has worked in India. To that, my typical response is, look, guys,
mm,
it's an exponential business. You are looking at the world at your feet. The world is your market. Why should we worry about India? If you're thinking of India, you're thinking, oh, it's a big market too. But the point is, our aspirations should be global, and we are part of the global market, global everything. Why should we even think about whether it's India or South Africa, everything? Yeah, it may be applicable here also. We will make it more relevant. It is not that one thing fits all, but have your aspirations which are reasonably large and global. And that's really the
mm,
power of exponential that it can help you unleash. Yeah,
mm. Yeah, that's what I continually remind myself as well. That
yeah,
I can think global, and even if you're a solopreneur sitting in, wherever you are, you
yeah,
can have a global impact, which is amazing in this day and age. It's actually incredible.
yeah,
Um, so Suman, you have been involved with quite a few big sprints. Could
yeah.
you possibly give us an example of one that really stood out for you? And you can't tell us the results specifically, but if there were benefits from it.
Yeah, of course, I won't be able to take names as you would
Yeah,
appreciate, but I can
of
certainly
course.
give a sense. So there are, it's always a mixed bag, right? You have a set of challenges and you have a set of accomplishments. Now, if you look at the set of challenges, it starts with you're dealing with folks who are seeing PowerPoint for the first time. So there are PPT challenged executives at an individual level to at a country level. When I was dealing with a client in UAE, they don't allow, the country doesn't allow WhatsApp calls. So you can't be connecting people over calls as easily as we do across the world. So that's a
Mm,
geo-specific challenge. And then you have company internal processes and challenges like Google Drives. I mean, it's so critical today for using collaboration tools. Now, internal security, IT security, and you're dealing with those immune systems. So these are a lot of bottlenecks and so on. But if
mm,
you have the right executive sponsorship, which is very critical for this kind of a project, I think these are cakewalks, and these were cakewalks eventually. So that's not a problem. The
mm,
accomplishments are at the end of the day, you can see, or I could see, that the mindset was shifting. People in the company in hardcore functions like purchase, procurement, and so on for 15 years, 20 years, and they are embracing the change. They are talking, on behalf of you, how do we change the company and align with the future? Then you feel that your job is done. I mean, it's never done though, but the point is they can take it forward because you're not looking
mm,
at, of course, they came out with some excellent initiatives and they got the sponsorship and the company invested in them, but that's not my benchmark. My benchmark is when they start talking my language. That's one. Second is, I would say that during the COVID times, every company is going through this crisis. This particular teams was reassembled once again to really examine what can be specifically done. So these are seen as the stars who somehow hold the magic wand of, changing the fortunes of the company and so on. And to that extent, I think that again is a sense of pride that, well, hopefully our things have worked and it is working in the right direction. And
mm,
there are projects that they continue to work on wherever I have this thing. And it takes about 12 to 18 months before they get the results. So it's about time. I'm sure I'll get to know about some of those satisfying results.
I hope you do. I hope you find out about what happens in your with all your work. But I often hear that the actual benefit, apart from the initiatives and the new organizations that got created and the projects, is the change of mindset and the change of outlook. So I often hear that, and you're repeating that, you're reiterating that's an important output from a sprint.
Right, right.
So I must warn the listeners, the viewers. I do a podcast, so listeners, this is viewers, that we've only got about 5 minutes with you, Suman. So if you've got any questions whatsoever, please put them in the chat. So if you've got a question that Kevin and Karina have already had, now's your opportunity to ask Suman his experience, his view of the world, his outlook on his work with sprints, anything that you want to. You've got 5 more minutes. So hopefully they take advantage of you, Suman.
Sure.
So you've set challenges and accomplishments and large organizations. Can you tell me, let me ask you what your plans are for the rest of the year going forward? You're going to be doing the 10x mindset workshops. So what other things do you have that you're going to be doing in the future?
Well, I mean, certainly, I mean, I am busy in what I do on an everyday basis. So, which is mentoring the startups and the grown-ups both. And with some of them, I do apply some of these framework attributes and they get the benefit. But increasingly, I am thinking that given the pole position that I have with respect to startups, maybe I can offer something on a more constructive basis. In terms of my association with the larger projects, I think I am getting early signs that larger projects are going to come. So hopefully sooner than later we'll get engaged. But I think that Be a 10Xer workshop is a great program. As we come to the end of it, so this is you can say this is my experiment with the first product. So, I would then launch in a bigger way, and hopefully more people can benefit because my objective is to have a multiplier effect because all these are folks who can potentially drive a multiplier effect within their organization or even outside in the society or for even themselves. And I really wish to do that. Yeah. So those are some of the things I have in mind, and hopefully it will work that way.
No, absolutely. And I must remember you because I'm trying to do a startup as well, and you have all the experience that I need. So I'll be in touch as well with you.
Anytime.
So, Suman, how can people engage with you? You're very involved with LinkedIn. So, on LinkedIn, how else can people contact you?
Well, I mean, otherwise, I am just putting my email ID across, which is, of course, a very reasonable way. And of course, later on, if works out, we can exchange on WhatsApp and phone calls, whatever. But LinkedIn and emails are certainly a good way to start the conversation.
Okay. And you, as you said, you're the one and only person on LinkedIn called Suman Sasmal.
My name is quite unique, yeah.
And if they want the 30-second overview of your history, they can go there.
What is that?
And if they want the 30-second overview of who you are, they can go onto LinkedIn.
Absolutely.
So thank you, Suman. I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Are there any closing comments you would like to add before we sign off for the day?
No, I mean, I really want to thank the viewers, and I really appreciate if you have any question, do reach out to me. And if you're interested, do join some of these programs that I run. Be at an Excel workshop is certainly going to help you as it is helping many other folks. I'm happy to share their experience with you very shortly. Yeah, thank you so much.
Absolutely. You were the first person that did my advisor call when I did the consultant certification. So I can vouch for your expertise and your experience. So thank you, Suman, very much. I appreciate you. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye. And thank you, for those who've watched it. Thank you. Very appreciate you being involved. Stay tuned to Kevin Allen on a Thursday, so 2 days' time. We'll be at the regular time slot and just be involved. There's the links at the bottom there. So if you want to find out more about OpenExO, go to www.openexo.com, get involved and change the world with us for a brighter future. So thank you very much. Bye.